Tansei, I'm Krisanachkate. Welcome to APTN National News Daytime for this Monday. RCMP in BC is renewing its calls for the public's help in locating a First Nations woman who went missing in January on Vancouver Island. BC RCMP is looking for 34-year-old Rosemary Harry, who was last seen on January 28th in downtown Duncan on Vancouver Island. Harry wasn't reported missing until February 4th. Harry is 5 foot tall, 141 pounds with black hair and brown eyes. RCMP say her family is concerned for Harry's health and well-being, adding that it is out of character for her to not contact her family for this long. North Cowichan and Duncan RCMP say they have done extensive investigative steps in trying to find Harry, including conducting numerous interviews and reviewed dozens of CCTV surveillance footage from local businesses and homes in the Duncan area. Search and rescue crews have also attempted to find Harry, including a number of RCMP helicopters. If anyone knows where Rosemary Harry is, you are asked to contact BC RCMP at 250-748-5522 or Crime Stoppers. A First Nation in Ontario is celebrating after a multi-million-dollar agreement was reached involving the federal and provincial governments. The Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation south of Hamilton has settled the River Valley tract claim for $183.4 million. The federal government will kick in $108.4 million of that, and Ontario will pay the other $75 million. The settlement covers 128,000 acres in the Rouge River Valley near Toronto. It resolves a long-standing land dispute from the 18th century. Private property will not be impacted. Mississaugas of the Credit has about 2,700 band members. Their leaders say the money will go towards education, healthcare, infrastructure, economic growth, and cultural initiatives. The land claim was first filed in 2015. In a statement, Chief Margaret Sue said the settlement is an important step in ensuring our treaty relationship with the Crown is recognized and respected. Officials also say the settlement is another step towards reconciliation. A longtime chief on the East Coast has been elected for an 8th consecutive term as votes were counted late last week. Bob Glode was first elected as chief of the Millbrook First Nation 14 years ago and was councillor for 12 years prior. In this recent election, Glode won 469 votes to Councillor Chris Gugu's 429 votes. Glode graduated from St. Mary's University in 1993. He holds a bachelor's degree in commerce and a double major in management, HR management, and industrial relations, and is the owner of G&G Home Heating. In a statement, Chief Glode says he is honored to continue to represent his community and is grateful for his community's continued trust in his leadership. Chief Glode's term will last another 2 years in office. In Edmonton, there is a new center that is now open to help Indigenous people transition out of the justice system and into society. The Native Counseling Service of Alberta is operating the center on Edmonton's West End. The goal is to have the center be a one-stop shop for offenders. The center will give people access to ceremonies and teachings, support from elders, and programs and services developed with an Indigenous lens. The NCSA says it's been 5 years in the making.
This reintegration center brings hope back that change is possible by creating a safe environment where the services come to our people.
The NCSA has been providing support and services to Indigenous people in Alberta for more than half a century. An actor is returning her award after her acceptance speech mentioning Palestine was censored by the Toronto Film Critics Association. In response, their president has resigned from the position. APTN Sav Jonza has the details.
Elmaya Tell-Feathers recorded the speech for the Toronto Film Critics Association, or TFCA, awards earlier this week when she was unable to attend in person. The Kainai First Nation member and Sami descendant won Outstanding Supporting Performance in a Canadian Film for her role as Tony in Sweet Angel Baby. She says the movie is a highlight in her career, where she plays the only openly lesbian woman in a small Newfoundland town.
As a queer Indigenous woman, I have not had the opportunity to play someone like Tony on screen before, and so it was really special to me. And I think means a lot for Indigenous stories on screen.
The almost 2.5-minute long video ended with Tail Feathers bringing attention to the war in Palestine, one that she and others, including the United Nations, have called a genocide by Israel. Between October 7th, 2023 and early January 2025, an independent survey by Lancet Global Health estimates more than 75,000 Palestinians have been directly killed by Israel. The 27-second portion was cut out by the TFCA when it aired at the awards gala. Here it is now.
One final thing is that when we were shooting Sweet Angel Baby, October 7th happened, and it changed everything. So I just want to say that my heart continues to be with the people of Palestine who are experiencing this ongoing genocide, and thank you to everybody in this industry who's been brave enough to say anything. Take care.
Tail Feathers sent a statement to its members and executives saying she will regretfully return the award due to the censorship. In a statement, TFCA President Johanna Schneller says she decided to shorten Tail Feathers' speech, along with others, to maintain timing of the show. Because of the incident, Schneller handed in her resignation. Those interested can find the full speech available on the Toronto Film Critics Association website. Sav Jonesa, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
We're always looking for your feedback or story ideas. Here's how to continue the conversation with us. If you have a story you want to share, send us an email to news@aptn.ca. And to read and watch our stories, you can go to www.aptnnews.ca. You can also find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. We have to take a short break, but when we return, we'll speak with NHL hockey star Jordan Tootoo. Stay with us. Welcome back. The 2026 Arctic Winter Games officially kicked off in Whitehorse yesterday. Over the next week, young athletes from across the circumpolar north will compete at an elite level, form new friendships, and Northern pride will be on full display. Our APTN White House reporter Sarah Connors is covering the games this weekend and is here to tell us what to expect. Sarah, thanks so much for joining us. My first question is, what is the Arctic Winter Games like so far?
Well, it's shaping up to be an exciting week of competition. Here behind me is the Canada Game Centre, where several sporting events will be happening this week. Today is the first full day of competition, so things are really just getting started right now. But what I can tell you is that there's 2,000 athletes, coaches, and cultural delegates here in Whitehorse this week. And we have contingents like Alaska, Greenland, Nunavut. And so far, there's just been a lot of excitement in the air, and athletes are really eager to compete and represent their contingents and their home communities.
What are some of the non-sporting events happening this week, Sarah?
Yeah, so in addition to the 20 sporting events that are happening this week, there are a lot of activities happening outside of competition venues. Arctic Sports and Dene Games, they're having a cultural feast this week. That's going to feature traditional foods and local foods that are really popular here in the Yukon. And then later this week, there's going to be 2 cultural galas, and that's going to showcase Northern youth talent from across the circumpolar region. So that's going to include things like music, dance, traditional arts, theater, and then there's also a marketplace happening, and I think there's art installations and workshops, so lots to see and do while people are here to experience the games.
And before we let you go, Sarah, what sporting event are you most looking forward to?
Yeah, so I mean, there's so many things I'm excited to check out this week. But I am a big Arctic sports fan, and I've been covering Arctic sports for a long time now. But one thing I've never seen in person is something called the knuckle hop. So that is when athletes use their knuckles and their toes to hop a course that's about 50 meters long. And I tell you, it is no easy feat. It is really, really difficult. How they do it, I can't tell you, but I'm going to be learning more about that this week when that event is happening, and that's definitely something that's on my schedule this week.
You'll definitely have to educate us more about that. That's APTN Sarah Connors reporting live from the game. Sarah, thanks for this, and we look forward to more of your reporting this week.
Thank you.
When Jordan Tootoo walks into a room, it's easy for the conversation to center around hockey. But for one Yellowknife's Dene school, the Inuk athlete had a different game plan, one where sincerity is just as important as slap shots. APTN's Charlotte Moore-Jacobs explains.
It's going to make you feel good to start off the day.
Former NHL right-winger Jordan Tootoo is challenging students at Kaleme Dene School in Dillon to make their bed every morning. His message has less to do with pro hockey and more to do with forming the habits necessary to get there.
There's a lot of young kids that look up to you guys, okay? You guys are role models.
Tootoo speaks honestly, not shying away from life's challenges, and frames strength as the courage to feel.
We were watching your highlights and we saw that you were quite a fighter. Was there a purpose to that, or was it just...
We all fight a fight no one knows about until we express, until we share. And where do we like to be open and honest the most? Out in the bush, right? Because that's where we as Indigenous people feel comfortable. That's where we feel content in our own skin. That's who we are.
In one sentence, Suzanne Peniel captures the weight she and her peers carry and the power of seeing someone lift it.
It's inspiring how seeing someone who's like Inuit and like me, like being more successful and like going sober and not becoming a stereotype.
Principal Megan Wolk says when you invest in sports, students invest in themselves.
If teachers are going to go above and beyond and volunteer for these things, kids have to be showing up. And it teaches kids that reciprocity, like that ability to, okay, I'm getting this, so now I'm going to give back this in terms of attendance, in terms of engagement.
Like many K-12 schools in the Northwest Territories, they lack a full-size gym. When asked what leaders could do to address these gaps, Tootoo was frank.
We can give our kids all these opportunities with, a new hockey rink, a new baseball field, a soccer field. But at the end of the day, it's what are we teaching our kids at home, right? That's where the root of every seed is. It needs to be planted. I grew up in Rankin Inlet, Nunavut. You guys know where that is, along the Hudson Bay. All right, small town. I was that shy kid who wanted to sit at the back of the class. My confidence was very low in the classroom. But as soon as I got out on the hockey rink, I was a different animal, right? What's your special talent?
The motivational speaker and author says the work he does now is his way of giving back, inspiring others to believe their stories can go farther than they ever imagined. Charlotte Moore-Jacobs, APTN National News, Dillon.
We now want to tell you about last week's web poll results. Our first question was, do you think confrontations in retail stores are increasing? 69% said yes and 31% said no. Our second question was, now that day school records are digitized, do you think it will help advance reconciliation? 40% said yes and 60% said no. And our final question was, should the federal government expedite changes to Bill S2 to address second-generation cutoff? 63% said yes and 37% said no. Thanks to all who took the time to vote. Check back on our website to see this week's new web poll questions at aptnnews.ca. Cree singer-songwriter Donita Large is in the middle of promoting her new album. However, one media outlet created a bit of an issue. We'll explain when we come back. Thanks for staying with us. Charlottetown 7, Halifax 9. -10 in Happy Valley, Goose Bay, Cartwright -7. 4 and rain in Saguenay, Quebec City, 4 and partly cloudy. Toronto clear skies and 12, Peterborough 9. 5 in Sudbury, Thunder Bay 4. -20 in Puckatawagan, God's Lake -18. Winnipeg -13, Dauphin -15. Snow in Estevan at -9, Swift Current cloudy and -6. -27 in Buffalo Narrows, Meadow Lake -17. -22 in High Level, Peace River -15. -3 in Medicine Hat, Red Deer -8. 3 in Vancouver, Bella Coola 0 and cloudy. Sandspit flurries at -2, Smithers clear skies -5. Old Crow -30, Dawson -34. -26 in Fort Simpson, Wati -31. -28 in Inuvik, Fort McPherson -33. Baker Lake -35, Whale Cove -33. And Arctic Bay -35, Iqaluit -25. Cree singer-songwriter Donita Large released her latest album, The Ancestors, earlier this year. But now the performer is speaking out over a news article written and published online about her new album. In the article, the media outlet used an AI-generated image of an Indigenous woman beside Donita's actual likeness. The image depicts what appears to be a stereotypical image of an Indigenous woman with beaded earrings, long black hair, and notably darker skin tones than Donita's own. We spoke with Donita this earlier. Here's that interview. Donita Large, thanks for being with us and congrats on the new album. Unfortunately, you found yourself having to call out this stereotypical image that a media outlet used. What were your thoughts when you saw the picture?
Well, I think for myself, it was at very first shock. You know, when you have that shock of seeing an image that's not yourself and your name is attached to it, you have this moment of like, what am I looking at here? Like, what is this image and what is it representing? And why is my name attached to it when it's about my album?
We are purposely not showing the image so it doesn't appear online again when this interview goes online, but what do you think the consequences of this should be?
The consequences? I think for me, I think it was an opportunity to be able to speak to why we should be talking about this for everyone. I think it's I think there's many layers to this particular action. I think the very first would be that for anyone having an image that goes out that is supposed to represent them is false information, it's misinformation. The fact that it went out into a news source, I think is also highly problematic, because when you watch the news, I would hope that people would see the news as factual. And so whenever you have an image that goes out that is represented by what should be reputable, what should be journalistic integrity when it comes to images that we use, that wasn't done. And so I think that's the very first thing. I think anybody would be upset because it's, whether it's seen as a scam, whether it's seen as fraud, whether it's seen as, the many things that we could attach to a false image. The other aspect to me is that as Indigenous people, we're used to having to protect identity. And so the fact that we've had to now deal with another type of stereotypical image created by AI, because what else is AI going to create? It's going to just take all the information we have online and create images. We can't expect that AI is going to be ethical.
Artificial intelligence has also been creeping into the music industry in various ways. As a longtime performer, Danita, are you concerned about that?
Well, there's lots of different streaming sources now where you don't always know if something is AI. And I actually felt really duped one time because I was listening to a song, just getting ready, doing my thing. I thought, wow, this is a good song. What is this song? I looked at the artist. I thought, okay, I'll add it to my playlist. And then I just had this feeling that I was like, okay, well, should I look into this more? And so I did. And then I realized it was an AI artist. Now for myself, being a person that, works hard to write music, to create music and not use AI, I thought, how do we even know what's AI generated anymore? And then for all the artists who are out there, to be an artist in this day and age, it's not like we have patrons, back in the day who would take care of us and allow us to do our artwork. We have to work hard to try and make any kind of living, to be able to make money, to be able to do more music, to go out and be on the road. There's very few people in the world that actually make a lot of money off doing music. So it's really a labor of love. So once you start in adding AI, taking over the industry, then it's really just taking away that opportunity for artists to do what they love and for people to hear real music.
And despite what happened, Danita, as we mentioned, your new album, The Ancestors, was released a little over a month ago. Can you talk a bit about the album and what listeners can expect?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, the Ancestors album, I decided to title it The Ancestors because the stories are from my family, from my nation. I'm Cree from Treaty 6, from Saddle Lake First Nation, and it's part of those stories. And I wanted to honor our history, but also the stories that we have today, contemporary stories, whether it be challenges for me as an Indigenous woman and Esqueo, whether it be the challenges of what it is to be an Indigenous person in this world now. So I wanted to honor both the truth of our history, but also the truth of our reality. And so to name it The Ancestors, I feel a responsibility to tell our stories.
Do you have any future dates coming up in the summertime here of where you'll be performing your songs in this new album?
Yeah, so I have Ravenwood Music Festival. It's a music festival that's in Sherwood Park, which is right beside Edmonton. And so I do have that festival coming up in July. I've been confirmed. It's not till November, but I'm going to Whitehorse, Yukon for the Blue Feather Festival. So I'm really excited about going to that festival. Some great headliners coming up there. I know that William Prince is coming up there. He's also coming to Edmonton. I believe he just was in Edmonton, and so to be able to be on stage with other Indigenous artists is also something that I really value.
Danita Large is a musician from Edmonton, Alberta. Danita, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
And that's all the time we have for APTN National News Daytime. We're back again in a few hours for your evening newscast. Please join us then. We leave you now with more drumming from the Arctic Winter Games. From all of us at APTN National News, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again. Excellent.
Lisa!